Yes, Dr. Bhattacharya, thank you very, very much for joining us on the programme. We now move on to our next story, where the Tibetan government-in-exile could hold more back-channel talks with China later this year, but expects little progress, even given Beijing's hardline position. Speaking to the Reuters news agency, Central Tibetan Administration Chief Penpa Tsering said indirect talks with China have so far yielded no results, and future efforts may also fall flat. He said, quote, "There seems to be no space for any negotiation whatsoever." Tsering's comments come a day ahead of the Dalai Lama's 90th birthday. The spiritual leader and tens of thousands of Tibetans have lived in exile in India since 1959, after a failed uprising against Chinese rule. Why the Dalai Lama has abandoned demands for full independence, he and the exiled community continue to call for genuine autonomy to safeguard Tibet's culture and religion. The Dalai Lama also reaffirmed this week that only his Gaden Phodrang Trust will identify his successor, who he says will be reborn outside of China. Beijing maintains it has the final say on the succession process, a stance rooted in historic claims. China's foreign ministry has yet to respond. We're now joined by Baiyao Teng, who's a Chinese human rights activist located in Washington, D.C. Thank you very much for joining us, Baiyao. Is Beijing's hardline leaving Tibet's back channels pointless? And do you think the Dalai Lama's succession outside China might spark something bigger than what's going on?
Yes, Beijing doesn't want a negotiation, a meaningful talk with Tibet, and there's a fundamental disagreement between Tibet and China, the People's Republic of China. So the reincarnation is one of the most important issues in this conflict. So because of the dictatorial system of China, the Chinese Communist Party can't let every region be autonomous. So not to mention Tibet or the East Turkestan, even any other Han Chinese province cannot be enjoying the high level autonomy. So Beijing want to decide everything. They can't let His Holiness Dalai Lama to recognize his successor.
Baiyao Teng, if Beijing did have its way, what would you expect from the choices of the CCP? Since the Dalai Lama is in exile, why do Beijing care so much about who his successor is?
His Holiness Dalai Lama, together with the Tibetan people, Tibetan diaspora community, have established a democratic system in the exiled government, and China want to maintain its one-party rule. So we have seen the disappearance of Hong Kong's freedom, and that might be a good example for us to understand the future of Hong Kong, the future of Tibet. And Beijing cares the influence of freedom and democracy. Even autonomous Tibetan, if Tibetan people enjoy meaningful cultural, religious autonomy, that will be a threat to Beijing's political regime.